So for those just joining, thank you. Just walking up here, I cleaned his eyes with saline solution to get the tear staining that happens normally, and then I applied a little bit of grooming powder, and now I'm just going to kind of blot that a little bit, and then I'm going to take the fine end of my cat comb and comb that out. There we go. A little bit of dampness still here on this side, but it'll dry here as I keep talking. Okay, so we've determined that we really do like this comb. It does a nice job, and you guys saw the difference between that grab in the coat and then the glide. You can see the tail right here is not fully grown out. Can you guys tell? He had a lion cut maybe 4 months ago, I think. So this is 4 months worth of growth. The tail is the slowest part to grow. For most cats, that's true. Have you experienced this? So this is important to know, because if you are grooming a cat for a client and or if you have to do a lion cut because the cat is really matted or pelted, but the tail isn't really matted, and they ultimately want their cat to end up in full coat again and stay there, don't shave the tail. Because 6 months later, you'll have full coat going on, but you will still see this tail that isn't quite right. And it can take about a year for that to happen. Obviously, if the tail is really matted, you may have to shave it down to the pom-pom, which is what he had, you can see right here. Otherwise, you would set that line conveniently where his white hair meets his black hair. That isn't always present on a cat, but that is a really handy guide on him. So just right at the base of the tail. And when I set that line, I can't shave him because he's not supposed to get shaved. But just to let you know, when I do that, let me grab this, a bravura with a 10 blade. I want to make sure it's on a 10, not anything else. I set that line at the back for the sanitary trim. Yep, I know, I hear you talking to me. I'll show you what I do right here. This is a mini sani because I haven't done the underneath, but you can see I'm about 1 inch right above his anus there, which now I'm on video and I'm saying anus, but like we're all groomers, so it's okay, right? So you can see that. Now, if I'm doing a line cut on him, I'm actually going to use that as my guide for bringing that line around the tail. So my reference point is on the back side, because the most important thing is that I create a clean behind for the cat. And then I know exactly where to wrap this line all the way around the top. Okay? So thank you for letting me shave your behind. Hopefully that was okay. That was okay, right? Oh, you guys have been so good. Does anyone have questions? Handling questions, clipper questions, groom style questions? Yes, you know you do. Yeah? No? You guys? Okay. Well, good.
This is your 2 minute.
How about some handling techniques for doing underneath the cat? Yeah? All right. So, could someone bring me a chair? And let's put it right here, because I'm going to show you, I groom on a stool. Thank you so much. Can you, is it okay? Can you put it right here? I have a grooming stool in the salon, and I do probably 75% of my cat grooming sitting down. The only time I'm not sitting down is when I'm bathing them. Otherwise, I'm drying them at a caddy shack back on a stool. Thank you so much, Ashley. And so we'll pretend this is my stool. So when I'm shaving the underneath of the cat at all, and of course I've got a microphone cord here, which is extra tricky. Okay. All right. Take the cat upside down, tuck him like this, tail between my knees. Now I have access to the groin area. So I leave one leg open like that, shave the inside of the leg, flip over like this. See how I lift this up high so I can look over my hand, over my arm. Now I can shave the inside of this leg. Once I've done that, And I teach in my videos a 6-stroke sanitary trim, 3 on each side. And then when I go like this, I have just this little center strip to take out, which is usually a couple of swipes. And every time it matches and it's symmetrical on both sides because I've used the anatomy of the cat's leg where it meets the body, and that's always the same on both sides. Now, everyone's going, what if he was trying to bite, right? Air muzzle. You guys are so smart. Air muzzle. I put this on and then there's a ball back here. But you gotta make sure it's on tight enough. Remember I told you the tip of one finger, okay? So if we need to continue up the belly, then I continue up the belly right here. I get about halfway up. If I'm doing a half belly, I can stop right there, but I want to get about midway up because then my next move is to take the cat, drop the rear legs between mine like this, and then I can tip back like this, and I have a taut belly to shave. And it has to be taut. If it has wrinkles, you'll cut it. It's so important that it's pulled taut. So he's going to try to bite me, I already know, so I would put the air muzzle on him. That way I could just hold his front paws up and I don't have to fool with it. See, he's waiting. He's just totally waiting. Also, I can go like this. Remember that hold I did before? And now I can shave right up into his armpit. Did you see? He's trying to pull out of that. Okay, cats are really good. If he was shaved, you could see they can drop their elbow inside their torso cavity. Okay, that's how they get out of tight spaces. So that's what he was trying to do, because then he can get out of a tight space, which is me right now. Okay, so when I do that, I've got to make sure that I'm holding that tight enough, firm enough. Now, see, he's trying to pull his rear legs up, firm enough. And I am not going to let him drop that elbow, because if he drops that elbow down into here, then I can't shave and he can slink right out of there. And he's smart. He's very smart, but I am a little bit smarter. A little bit smarter. Right, buddy? I know, you've been so good. So now you guys are going to look forward to doing that at home, right? Back at your salon. Get a stool or a chair. If you have a grooming stool, it's just perfect. The trick is to make sure that your knees are parallel to the ground. So conveniently, mine are right now. That really helps. If you have short legs, you want to make sure your stool is as low as it can go, or turn and put your feet up on something like the bottom. Most tables have some kind of bar that you can put your feet on. If you have really long legs, then pump that stool up and get that, because if you have too much slope this way, you're going to be fighting gravity with that cat sliding off your lap. And if you're too much this way, then you've got that cat too close up to your body at all times and you can't get that good stretch. So get those legs as parallel as possible to the ground, okay? That will really change things for you. I use that. That's pretty much how if you get the videos, any of my videos, if you do the online courses or any of that, you will see me sitting down in almost all of them. Okay, there are a few times I'll put a cat back up on the table for something doing underneath because they're just not a good lap cat. Some of them aren't. They're cats, so you can't apply the same rule to all of them. I wish you could, but you can't. So that's a good technique for you guys to use. You can use that also for combing the cat out. You notice that I was starting out like this and combing his underneath as much as I could get this way, and then I shifted to this position where I got out underneath here. So that's another way you can do that. Cats do not put their rear legs in full extension naturally and comfortably. That is not a thing for cats. Dogs do it. They stand like the poodle stands there all stacked up nice on the table. Cats don't do that. This is comfortable to a cat, comfort position. If you watch a cat when it's standing, just standing on the ground, that leg is in kind of like a Z shape. That's comfortable to them. So when we take those rear legs and we put them in full extension, which is what I have right now on him, that is not comfortable for a long period of time. And if they're old and arthritic, which he is like, I don't know, 12 years old or something, they start to get arthritic, that becomes more of a thing. So if you're working with an elderly cat and you have to shave that leg, you're going to have to hold it out into full extension for some amount of time. Otherwise, you'll cut the skin. You've got to have that skin taut. That means you have to learn techniques to help you nail that rear leg line super fast, because that cat is probably going to give you about 45 seconds to hold that leg out before it goes after you. And so if you use methods, reference points, I talked about this in my seminar the other day, the hawk line is that reference point on the rear leg, and this is one of the holds I use right here, where I've got my fingers here, my thumb is over here, got it right across the groin of the cat, and I am actually pushing against the top of his legs to put that knee into full extension. I'm lifting up right now, which forces him to put his weight and support and balance on his front legs versus attacking me with his front legs. Some cats will still try to roll over and get you, but most of them will be more concerned about keeping upright. So that's to my advantage. But you see, we just extend, what was that, 60 seconds? And now it's going to start to be like, eh. And if I don't let him out of it, then he's going to start biting and scratching and all of these other things. So using those reference points on the body to set those lines, like the hawk line, and on the front, it's the elbow right here. If I put him up into this position, and I shave right down with my clipper, like this. Well, it's not going to go through the dry hair. Stop. And I hit right there. What that is the bend of his elbow. You can't see it because there's a lot of hair there. But right there at the bend of the elbow, if I take this down and go like this, it's going to stop right there because there's a little bend in his arm. That is my reference point for setting my line on the front leg lines on a line cut. And then for the rear, I'm going to lift his leg up like I did it before to get that elbow out. I'm going to pull it as straight as I can. It's going to have a little bit of a bend in it. And I'm going to take that clipper up and over that elbow about 1 inch. And I'm going to set that line right there. And then I'm going to connect the dots from where I ended here and where I ended here on the inside as well as the outside. So I am, even though the leg on a cat is round, is a cylinder, I'm going to treat it, think of it like it's a cube. Like it has a flat plane here, a flat plane here, one here, and one here, and I'm connecting the corners of my square. And that way I can nail my leg lines on every single cat in less than a minute per leg line, and they will be symmetrical, even, and straight on both leg lines every single time. And on a cat like this, who as soon as I put that clipper right in, and he's like, and he's going to grab my clippers and try to bite them in my hand. This is really important to have that down to a very short period of time so we can do this safely and make it look beautiful and be able to finish the job. Have any of you ever been grooming a cat, committed to line cut, and you can't finish? I mean, you can admit it because I've heard this a lot. And one of the reasons that that happens is because we are taking way too much time for these leg lines, like 20 minutes per leg line. Do you guys remember how much time a cat generally will give you for the whole entire groom? 45 minutes. So if you're spending 20 minutes here and 20 minutes here, you're at 40 minutes. You have done nothing else to the cat. So if we can get that down to a minute, then we can actually do the bath, blow dry, the nail trim, the rest of the line cut, and get all of this done and make it look good. Using that anatomy helps us to get it symmetrical. Have you ever done the leg lines where one is lower than the other? So you have to take the other one down a little bit, and then you're like, dang it, now it's still ½ inch off. And then pretty soon you're like down here. You're like we have little tiny booties now. And it's like, shoot. If we use this bend, this elbow as the reference point, it becomes so much easier to do that. And then at the hawk line on the back, right here where this narrows, this is the narrowest point right here, because then his foot curves out on the ankle. So I'm going to take that down and I'm going to stop right at that hawk line before it starts to flare out. If I go past the flare out, I'm going to hit the heel. To cut a straight line on a heel is really, really hard. And also it looks ugly. It just looks terrible. So stop at that narrow point of the hock before it starts to flare out ever so slightly, and then you can hit that all the way around. Yes, generally the front legs are longer than the back. That is correct. And, you know, people ask me all the time, they're like, well, you know, do I have to do it there? Is that the right way? Because I've been doing it down here, what have you. Yeah. And some people, they do. They set them down lower, whatever. It's not wrong. There's no wrong and right way. But if you're going for speed and efficiency and aesthetics, then using a reference point and staying close to it is going to be the fastest, easiest way to do that, right? Because the further away you get from that reference point, the harder it is to cut a straight line and stay even. And then you have to replicate it on the other leg. So that's why I started setting those there 20 years ago when I started doing this, because I realized that on some of those cats that I was shaving, time was so critical. And because my personality is like, I'm such a perfectionist, I could not bear the thought of a cat leaving out of my salon with uneven or crooked lines. That, like, no way. So that's what I learned very quickly. Let's stay close to a reference point. And it does make a huge difference when you use that. So you guys know what you're going to do this week with cats on the schedule, right, ladies? Some of you are going to go home and try to get cats on the schedule because you're like, I want to try this, right? So I like that. Your best friend's mean cat. Maybe not the best place to start, but yeah, hey, go for it. Look, if you guys have any questions at all, please go to my website, nationalcatgroomers.com. You can email us right through there. You just say, hey, I met Danelle at Groom Expo West, and she was talking about such and such, and I need some clarification or whatever. Tell me how it goes for you when you try some of these things. I like to hear when people are like, it worked, it was great. And we are there to help you guys master this, because our ultimate goal is that cat owners will have excellent choices for their cat's grooming care, so that no cats are ever matted again. They're not greasy, filthy, smelly, and all of that. They're all going to look beautiful like they're supposed to look. And that you guys are able to actually make a really good living off of it and enjoy your job. That's our goal. So that's what we're all about. If you guys need help with that, just please shoot us an email or whatever. We'll help you out, okay? Thank you so much. Appreciate it.